Welcome to Green Beans, where two boys dressed in green sit on beans and chat about life. I'm your host, Jared, and with me is my brother and co-host, Ethan.
What's up?
And if you're watching the YouTube version, then you'll see that we have special Green Beans shirts now. They have our little design from the cover art of our podcast, so now we don't need to just find random green shirts to wear.
Yeah, now we'll be a lot more consistent with our greenness.
Yeah, because that's half of the name.
Green beans. Okay, so what we want to start off with is sharing a little bit about how our week went. Jared, you have more to share than I do because my week, I worked. That was basically it. Not very interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't a crazy eventful week, but I at least did a few things. So my girlfriend and I, we decided that to watch all of the Lord of the Rings movies in one day.
How many hours is that?
So there's 3 movies, which normally 3 movies one day, not that bad. That should take you like I don't know a third of the day. But the Lord of the Rings movies are pretty well known for being extremely long.
Yeah, I've always kind of considered it like 6 movies because like the length of each one is they're 2-parters.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, and
There's,
if you have like the actual like Blu-ray like DVDs, then it is on 2 discs, but yeah, so each movie, the first 2 movies, there are a little less than 4 hours, and then the last movie is about 4 hours. So altogether, it's just under 12 hours of Lord of the Rings, and we decided to watch that all in one day.
that, in my opinion, that sounds kind of miserable.
Well, cause she had seen them before. She like watches them like I don't know. I think every year, maybe every few years. Like she's a big fan of Lord of the Rings, so is her whole family. But I had seen them, I think, when I was younger.
You've definitely have.
I don't really remember it though. So like I remembered a few like very minor details here and there, but for the most part, I was pretty much going in blind, and it was pretty much like I was seeing it for the first time. Um, and yeah, I showed up to her house at I believe like 9:30 in the morning, and then I didn't leave until 10:30 at night. Cause
Long day.
all we did was just watch movies, and we only took breaks for like eating like lunch and dinner and bathroom breaks, but other than that it was just Lord of the Rings all day.
That's a lot of Middle Earth right there.
Yeah, it was definitely towards the like they're good movies, but towards the end I was definitely feeling like, man, I wish this will be over. Like I hope this ends soon.
You should have saved it for like a car trip or something.
Yeah.
Like when we go to Virginia or West Virginia, I don't remember. When we go there in a few months, in July.
Yeah, it's in like a month.
You should have saved it for that, man.
Yeah. Well, too late now.
On that car ride, you can watch all the Hobbit movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 3 of those for like a itty little book.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they turned, like, because there's 3 Lord of the Rings books, and then they turned each of them into a movie. So there's 3 movies. But The Hobbit is just one book, and they turned it into 3 movies as well.
Yeah, it's like I've been reading The Hobbit I started reading it in the winter, so a few months ago. And I'm still reading it, as in, like, I haven't picked it up in a while.
Yeah.
I got, like, halfway through. And definitely, like, the first Hobbit movie takes place in the book, and it, like, first, I don't know, like 20 pages or something. Like, it's not a big book at all.
Yeah, and so I haven't seen The Hobbit.
Yes, you've totally
have. I?
You totally have. We saw it in theaters.
When
at
did
least
they
one
come
of them.
out?
A few years back.
I don't remember it very well, so it can't have been that recent.
I saw the Desolation of Smaug in theaters. That's the second one, I think.
Okay,
And I'm
well,
pretty sure you were there.
I do remember I know I watched the last one, but I feel like I was pretty young. I don't know when those movies came out, but like I don't know. I all I remember is that Benedict Cumberbatch played the dragon. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll watch those at some point too.
Yeah. Which kind of works out because for the summer camp we're working at, that's Lord of the Rings themed.
Yeah, yeah. We both work at a camp. Well, we call it work. We don't get paid, so it's like volunteer.
Yeah.
Um, but we are staff members at a camp called National Youth Leadership Training. NYLT is usually how we go by it for short. And yeah, every year it's like a usually a week long overnight camp. And each like state runs their own thing. So we do like the Vermont NYLT,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so like it's a Boy Scout thing. I don't know if I mentioned that, but Boy Scouts from all over the state come, and ages usually like 13 or 14 to
Yeah, like 13 to 17 usually.
yeah, that's the age range, and it's pretty cool because they it's a week long camp and they stay, and then throughout the week we do lots of fun activities, and learn about how to be a good leader, but also like have fun along the way, and yeah, every year we have a theme to the week. So like I attended NYLT as a participant in 2018, and the theme that year was like Greek mythology, like gods and
Yeah.
goddesses. And then I was on staff the next year in 2019, and we had a superhero theme. And now this year on staff, it is Lord of the Rings themed.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it didn't happen last year for
yeah, it was gonna be
obvious
Disney
reasons.
themed last year, but obviously got canceled.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while as well. I think I was a participant 2015 or 16.
I think it was 2016.
That would make sense. I think yeah, participant 2016, and then I staffed for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I think actually this year's gonna be my fourth.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it's a lot of fun games, but a really big part of it is the teaching leadership to the scouts, the participants, and so we do a lot of presentations, which can get kind of boring at times, but it's definitely like when you're a staff member giving those presentations, like it's just you have to know what you're talking about, so it really hammers home like the information you're
Yeah.
presenting because you can't just like make it up on the fly.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time preparing our presentations, which is kind of unfortunate because like we're not like naive. We know that the most boring part of the camp is the presentations. We're not going into these presentations expecting that everyone's going to be super thrilled about being talked at for an hour. But that's kind of unfortunate because the presentations are one of the parts of the camp that we put the most work into, and then
Oh
it's the
yeah.
parts that most people just sort of tune out and or
I mean,
like
it's meant to be an educational and fun camp.
yeah.
So, uh, you know, I mean, some people don't mind learning about it and whatnot. They realize that it's really useful skills to have, not only just in scouts but like in life.
Yeah.
Because leadership is really really important these
Yeah,
days.
like we teach about like how to communicate with like your team as a leader and like how to resolve conflicts in a group and like the different stages of team development and like different methods of like leading styles you should use at different points of a group's development and yeah. It
Yeah, and this information is like stuff that they teach people up in like corporate level
yeah, yeah.
organizations. Like this is really valuable stuff. So so when we're presenting it, we really got to know like what we're talking about, and usually it's the older scouts that pay attention to it. The like 15, 16, sometimes 17-year-olds. Um, a lot of times like there'll be the younger ones that just like turn 13 and they just sit there like playing in the dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I might have been one of those kids. I think I went when I was 13.
Yeah, I also went when I was 13.
Yeah, and I paid attention to most of the presentations. There were definitely a few where I just sat down and looked at the ground for an hour.
Yeah, which is so we like us staff members, we put in so much work to make those make sure we have that information in our heads so we know what we're presenting to everybody, but then we also try our best to like cuz we try to fit in activities within the presentations as well.
Yeah, to keep their attention.
Yeah, and we try our best to make those activities engaging and fun. And yeah, presentations are just one part of the course. Like
Yeah.
we also do a lot of like all of the participants are broken down into they're called patrols, which is pretty much just like each teams and there's different colors. So there's like the red patrol, the blue patrol, the green patrol. And yeah, they're usually about 5 or 6 people in each patrol. And so yeah, throughout the entire week, that we have tons of patrol, different activities that you do with your patrol and games, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But then you also learn stuff along the way.
Yeah, and a big thing that happens throughout the week is the team development. So near the beginning of the course, we like talk about team development, and then throughout the week, we try to get them to, go through those stages of team development, so they can really know what it's like to, be a part of a team.
Yeah, yeah,
So we do kind of like force them into that because they stay with their patrol all week, and of course they interact with other patrols when they're doing big activities. But for the most part, like the sleeping arrangements, dining arrangements, like they're all with their own patrol.
yeah. A lot of it is bonding with your patrol throughout and getting to know your patrol throughout the week. So you like have that tight knit group of 5 or 6 people. And like I know my when I went in 2018, I had a pretty good patrol. I liked everybody in my patrol, and like there are people in my patrol that I like that I still like know and am still friends with that were in my patrol that week.
Yeah. I don't think I talked to anyone that was in my patrol. I mean, I did for a little bit, but yeah, that was about it. Now the unfortunate thing is your patrol can like make or break the
Oh
course
yeah,
for you.
if you get a great patrol with people you get along with really well and like are cool people, then that's going to be an amazing week. But if you get some people that like don't want to be there or are just like have a bad attitude or just like not cool people to be around, then your week can definitely suffer,
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
because
But
one of my friends, he went the year before me, and he was in a really sucky patrol, and he was just miserable the whole time, which sucked. But there's not
yeah.
much you can do about that.
Yeah, we try our best as staff members to like make sure everybody's engaged and we can tell that like maybe one of the scouts doesn't really seem that into stuff, like sometimes we'll like talk to them about it and see if there's anything we can do to make it better for them. But yeah, there's always people that are sort of forced to go there and don't want to be there, which is unfortunate
Yeah.
because yeah, I remember when I was a participant, I wasn't looking forward to it. I didn't think it was gonna be fun. I thought it was just gonna be. I thought it was like an academic camp, and it was pretty much just going to like school over the summer, and I wasn't looking forward to it. But I was very pleasantly surprised my week there, I tried to have an open mind about it, and I'm so glad that I did because if I just kept that like idea of this is gonna suck, then it would have.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, I don't know. Have you mentioned troop guides?
No, no. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah.
You can go into that.
Yeah, so the way, like we said, all of the participants are broken into patrols at the camp. And then each patrol has a staff member there that is like in charge of that patrol for the week. Those are called the troop guides. So yeah, and the troop guide like is stays with the patrol throughout most of the week, and they're not really like they're not part of the patrol. They're sort of like in charge of the patrol, and their goal is to help guide that patrol like through the stages of team development and get that patrol to at the end of the week be like as good as they can be. And yeah, so I'm a troop guide. I was a troop guide in 2019 on staff. I'm a troop guide again this year. You've been a troop guide
Yeah,
before.
I was a troop guide 2 times. And now that I'm an adult, like troop guides are supposed to be youth. So
Yeah. That's I don't even think we mentioned. I mean, people could probably infer, but
yeah, the whole camp is youth led.
yeah. So like the people attending the camp as participants are the same age as the people running the camp because it's like completely youth led. Obviously, there are adults there, but their job is like to do the sort of behind the scenes stuff and just make sure nobody's dead. But as long as nobody's on fire, the adults don't really get involved that
I
much.
don't know. There was that one year.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah. So it's kind of it's a weird feeling having it be youth led because my first time I was a troop guide, for whatever reason, I was like I just barely turned 15, and I was in charge of the patrol of like the 16 and 17-year-olds, and
Oh yeah.
so I was like younger than the people I was in charge of. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
This is weird.
you see, the good thing for me is that I don't know about now. Maybe now I look my age, but at least for a like I've always been told that I look older than I am.
He's actually 21.
No, I'm 16, and but like so 2 years ago I was 14 when I was a troop guide in charge of a patrol, but like nobody really knew that I was 14. People sort of thought I was older than 14, and so there were people in my patrol that were older than me that I was in charge of, but I don't think they knew that I was younger than them, or even if they did, I don't think it seemed like it.
Yeah, I mean, like if you think about the workplace in the real world, like age doesn't really isn't as important.
Yeah.
But like when you're a younger child and like in adolescence and stuff where age is pretty noticeable difference, like it can kind of be a not necessarily a big deal, but it's new because you're like this is kind of the first time, at least for me, where I'm like in charge of other people, and usually like people that were in charge of me were always older. I never had someone younger than me be in charge of me, so I felt kind of weird being that in charge person to older
Yeah,
people.
I bet it can be intimidating, for sure.
But I got used to it. You got used to it, of course.
Yeah, and something else that we like to do is based on our theme. All of the staff members like
yeah.
I don't know what the word is. They like what I don't know how to explain it.
Are you talking about like?
Being each character, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So from the theme, we like choose a character to like embody throughout the entire course.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really fun because throughout the entire course we pretend to be this character, and some people are more dedicated than others, but yeah, it's really fun. We integrate it into like a bunch of skits. We integrate it into presentations.
Yeah, so like 2 years ago or 3 years ago during the Greek mythology theme, like each staff member was like representing a different like god or goddess, and then
I don't which one. I think I was.
you were Persephone.
I was Persephone. How do you remember that?
I was there.
Yeah, but I don't remember that.
I don't know, but yeah, and then 2 years ago with the superhero theme, that one was really fun. I was Doctor Strange.
I was Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, we didn't with it. It was just like a really broad superhero thing, so we didn't like stick to just Marvel or just DC. Like we had
Yeah.
Mr. Incredible in there from The Incredibles, and like there's always one like scout. They're normally older. They're usually 17, but that's like they're known as the senior patrol leader.
Oh yeah, they're the big honcho, the big boy.
Yeah, they're like in charge of the whole camp, and they're like the main guy that's in charge of the entire uh, course for the week, and they like are making sure everything's going well and they're running everything. And so yeah, with the superhero year, our SPL was Captain America, and he made like I don't know if it was cardboard or what.
It was like cardboard and
And
styrofoam and
yeah,
like
he
duct
made this
tape.
like Captain America shield that he carried with him like the whole week, and it was great.
I definitely, for our Lord of the Rings one, I don't know if I still have it, but I have like a blonde wig that I want to wear the entire week.
Oh, that would be funny because you're Legolas.
Yeah, I'm Legolas, so that would make sense to have like the blonde wig. I can bring like a bow and arrow, and I really want to get in the costume for this year.
Yeah, that'd be funny because one of another one of the staff member, the person who is SPL this year, obviously he wasn't SPL 2 years ago. He was a troop guide, and he was Spider-Man, and he bought like a full-on like high quality like Spider-Man suit, and he wore it a few times in the week, and it was great. So it's always great when people have little things. I really wanted when I was Doctor Strange, I wanted to get like the Time Stone necklace. I didn't end up doing it, but I should do something this year because this year you're Legolas and I'm Gimli. Which I thought it was fun. I thought it would be funny if I'm Gimli because he's a dwarf and he's short and I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'2", so yeah, I thought that would be kind of funny as having the tall guy as a dwarf. But I kind of we picked which because we've been doing preparation meetings since January.
Oh yeah.
Even though the camp is actually in August, and I wish I had seen the movies before we picked what characters we were going to be because I think it would have been great if we were Merry and Pippin.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
True.
that would have been cool, but oh well. I'm satisfied with being Gimli. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I because I'm an adult. My duties are a bit different. Since it's
You
youth
said duty.
wow, that's hilarious. So yeah, I have different obligations. So last year I was still a youth. I was 17. Actually, no, it was 2 years ago because last year didn't happen. 2 years ago, I was 17 when the course is happening. I'll be 19 for this one. And I was the assistant senior patrol leader of facilities. So I had to like make sure everything, like I had to take inventory, make sure all the supplies were everywhere all the time.
Yeah, so you did less like work with participants and
Yeah,
more work like making sure everything runs smoothly as it should.
Yeah,
and make sure everything's where it should be.
And this year I'm going to be doing the same thing, but not as like a youth, like because the assistant senior patrol leader of facilities, very fitting name, very long. Like they are in charge, and then like everyone else a part of facilities is just there for labor pretty much.
Yeah.
So the facilities ASPL has to do all the planning for all the materials, needs to know where and when everything goes, which there's a lot of things that happen during the camp. Like we have a whole schedule for the entire week planned out with like time slots everywhere. So if like any time materials need to be somewhere, I'd have to get it there at least an hour to a half an hour before. So I had to constantly be running ahead of schedule, which it was manageable for me at least. But this year I don't even have to do that. I just have to listen to what the ASPL this year says.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like being an adult staff member, obviously you're less involved with the participants. But I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's kind of easier.
Well, yeah, it's youth led. The adults should just be chillaxing the whole time.
Yeah. So I think we can sort of change topics here.
Yeah,
And talk about something else we did this week. We have a lake house, which is like 45 minutes away from our house here that we live at.
Yeah.
It's on the Lake Champlain, and at the start of every like summer we have to put in the dock and the boat, and we have a water trampoline that goes out, and we have like a mooring that we secure it to.
I hate that mooring so much.
Yeah, so
It's terrible.
a few days ago we went to the lake house to put in the trampoline because it's the beginning of the summer, and yeah, it actually went pretty smoothly this year, but
Yes.
that was not the case last year. So pretty much the trampoline is quite large. It's for anybody who doesn't know what a water trampoline is, it's pretty much just like a big inflatable raft with like a trampoline bouncy thingy in the middle, you know?
Yeah, so you swim out, you climb up on the ladder, and you jump.
It's a floating trampoline.
Yeah, that it's basically it.
Yeah, and it's what's the diameter of ours? Like 10
Big.
15 feet? I don't know.
It's big.
It's big.
That's
So
all I know.
we like bring everything. We bring the deflated trampoline down to the water, and then once we're down there, we like have a big long extension cord, and then we blow up the trampoline, and we secure all the springs and the. I don't know what the actual surface of the trampoline is called. The like black part, the bouncy part.
The bouncy bounce.
The bouncy bounce.
Yes.
That's the scientific name for it. And we secure the bouncy bounce and all that, everything to go with that. And then we have kayaks, and so we take down a kayak, and then we secure we take like a rope and tie the kayak to the trampoline, and then somebody is on the kayak and somebody's on the trampoline. So the person in the kayaks out to our mooring, and then the person on the trampoline jumps out and then has to go onto the trampoline and secure the the trampoline to the mooring. So
Yeah, and by person in the kayak, it's usually Jared.
yeah.
Sometimes Mom. I'm usually the one on the trampoline that has to jump in the cold water and do the. It's not fun.
Yeah, because the like ropes and chains and everything that you need to secure the trampoline to are just covered in zebra mussels.
This year was particularly bad. Like I couldn't. There was no rope. There was no chain. It was just mussel. I could not see anything else but mussel.
Yeah, and zebra mussels are really sharp and they're super easy to cut yourself on.
I'm surprised I didn't cut myself. They are an invasive species in Lake Champlain. They have been for a while now. They reproduce at alarming rates. It's absurd, and they just cover everything. So they suck. They really suck.
Yeah. So this year we like I said a few days ago, we put in the trampoline, and it went pretty smoothly. The only problem was just that the zebra mussels were all over the ropes and chains and stuff, which was annoying. But what happened last year is we the day we decided we were going to put in the trampoline, we didn't realize how windy it was.
Oh, it was so windy.
Last year our mom was in the kayak and then with the trampoline behind it, and kayaking with the huge trampoline behind you and attached to the kayak is very difficult, and you go super slow because you have to the trampoline is very heavy, and so you have to kayak with carrying the huge load.
Yeah.
And what happened last year is it was so windy that the water was pretty wavy, and there was a very harsh current. And so as our mom kayaked out, and I was in a different kayak, I believe. Maybe I was in the water. I think I was just in the water. I don't really remember all the details, but our mom was in the kayak with the trampoline behind, and she started kayaking out, and then just starts drifting down the lake.
Yeah, I jumped off and swam back to shore. I was like,
because you were on the trampoline.
I'm not having any part of this.
Yeah, and so the trampoline, our mom was very scared, understandably so, because she's just drifting off, and there's not much she can do. So yeah, the trampoline was drifting down the lake, and
pulling our mom with it.
It got quite a ways down, and there's nothing our mom could do, because as even she could paddle the kayak as hard as she physically could, and with the weight of the trampoline behind her, it wouldn't be enough to even maybe she would stop moving, but that wouldn't even, she wouldn't be able to get back.
I don't think so. I think it was just so strong that, like, even if she paddled as hard as she could, it was still going to send her.
Yeah. Our dad borrowed our neighbor's jet ski and then drove that out and then rescued our mom in the trampoline and brought those back.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was sucky.
Yeah. Luckily that went smoother this year.
Yeah, it was not a windy day. It was completely, well, mostly flat. So that was so much better.
Yeah.
All right. So I think it might be that time. You know what time it is? It's time for Ethan's fantastic, fabulous fossil facts. Oh my goodness. It's awesome. So I got a request for a fossil fact. So from one of our viewers, so I will gladly explain it. So and also he also submitted some artwork for us to show, which I greatly appreciate. That's awesome that he did that. So credit to Michael Moyerman. I really love your artwork. It looks amazing. So the fact is about the dinosaur Irritator. Pretty interesting name,
That's
right?
a cool name.
Yeah. It is related to the Spinosaurus, except without a spine. And its namesake, Irritator, comes from a very irritating process of uncovering the fossil. So, Irritator was originally discovered by illegally, so like illegal fossil collectors found it and like dug it up. And
what made it illegal? Was it like, do you know, like, was it on like land that they weren't allowed on or something like that? Or?
Yeah, most of the time discrepancies in paleontology and the legality is just excavating on land you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And also like they just didn't care about the fossil, so it got pretty damaged when they were excavating it. And so it was the skull of what they thought to be a pterosaur, like a pteranodon.
Like a flying reptile.
Yeah. And so they sold this fossil, luckily, to a museum where it could properly be analyzed. But it was just so damaged that, like, the paleontologists there had no idea, like, what it was. And so it was a very irritating process of, like, trying to figure out what this fossil was. And finally, in 1996, they were able to give it a name, Irritator, and figure out that it's resembles Spinosaurus. It's related to Spinosaurus, but it was just a very irritating process of like getting their hands on it, and then it's just so damaged that it sucked to handle. And so yeah, that is the bare bones, pun intended, synopsis of how Irritator got its name. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic, fabulous fossil facts with Ethan.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I kind of want to talk about the Loki TV show a bit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they are now making TV shows in addition to movies. They've made WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And now their latest show is Loki. It's about the character Loki, who is sort of like a villain, anti-hero sort of character.
The god of mischief.
Yeah, brother to Thor in the other movies. But now he has his own show. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about this show and maybe some possible theories or hopes for this show. So if you haven't seen the show and you don't want any spoilers, you're going to want to skip this next section. I'll leave a timestamp in the description of this episode, maybe on screen if you're watching the YouTube version, so you know when to skip to if you don't want Loki spoilers. But now that that's out of the way, so in the show Loki, there is this thing called the TVA, Time Variance Authority.
Yes.
And their whole thing is that there's this like sacred timeline that like that's already this predetermined timeline of the entire universe and how everything will play out in all of time. And the TVA's job is it's this like group of people who like travel through time, and I think they exist like outside of time maybe. I don't really know.
I don't know, man.
But they gotta, if there's any like discrepancies or variants as they're called, the TVA's job is to stop the timeline from straying off path and making sure this one like correct predetermined timeline is what happens in reality. And I personally don't like the idea of there being this like sacred timeline, just because it with that if that concept is true, that makes the rest of the Marvel movies so much less cool. Because like pretty much that means that like nobody really has like free choice. Cuz
Autonomy is an illusion.
yeah,
Yeah, it just like with that concept, it brings in a lot of questions of like free will and fate and like
yeah, cuz it's like if you do something that it doesn't line up with the sacred timeline, then the TVA is going to come get you and fix it. So and that just with that concept in mind, like the rest of the movies are so much like it's just not as cool. Like if you think about like Infinity War and Endgame, like with like they were trying to stop Thanos, but if the sacred timeline says that Thanos was gonna get all of the stones and do everything he did, then like if you're watching a movie with the idea, well, this has to happen because that's how eternity wants it to happen, like that just makes it less cool because it feels like there's no stakes because what's gonna happen is gonna happen.
what about the scene in Infinity War where Doctor Strange looks at all the possibilities
Yeah, so
and then
yeah, and that doesn't really make sense because in Infinity War, Doctor Strange like was like meditating and looking at all these different possibilities of different ways this situation could go, and said that, but if there is only one sacred timeline, then he wouldn't have seen all those because there would have only been one possible way it could have gone, right?
I have a feeling that like there's only been 3 episodes out by the time of this recording.
Yeah.
There's gonna be I'm fairly certain the TVA is not what it seems.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, what I think is gonna happen, what I really hope happens, is that the TVA is not at all what it seems, and it's like evil or like lying or something to make it, because that would make the show Loki a lot more interesting, and then it would also get rid of that idea that there's this like sacred timeline that everything must follow, because any future movies are a lot they're not as cool with that idea. So I think that the TVA is not as it seems.
I I back that.
Yeah. I think that's what's gonna play out, and I hope that's what plays out.
Yeah, wasn't at the end of like the second episode when all the charges went off and then all the things from the him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that when all the different timelines started manifesting, like that wasn't in the third episode at all because they were stuck on a planet.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this turns out. You know, the first episode was I was a little confused, but like the second and third episodes, I thought were really good. I'm getting invested in this. I like it.
Yeah, I like this show a lot because WandaVision was really good, and
WandaVision was confusing to start out because it.
Oh yeah,
it was
WandaVision
weird.
is weird, but it's cool. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a good show.
I thought it was just it was kind of. I don't want to say basic, but it was.
I mean,
like,
it was
it was typical.
It was an
for-
action Marvel. It was pretty much just an action Marvel movie, but in show form.
Yeah, it didn't have any like weird twist to it. It was just like.
But like WandaVision and Loki both have like their own unique sort of spin, something that isn't super typical for the MCU. And so far, Loki is my favorite of these 3 shows that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, there's also this other theory that I saw online that in the 3rd episode when Sylvie is like she touches Loki's like head and is trying to like she's trying to use her like powers like to like manipulate his mind.
Yeah.
And then Loki's like, no, that won't work. And then she like stops. I saw a theory that said that she actually did like get into his head when she was doing that, and the rest of the episode is all happening in Loki's head.
That would be kind of weird.
That'd be weird. But like, do you think the second half of the like after that it seemed a little odd? I mean, I sort of was getting weird vibes from that episode. I don't know about you, but
I mean, the whole episode was weird. You know, it's an apocalypse.
Well, yeah, but so that's a cool theory, but
yeah, the problem with most theories online is they're not correct most of the time.
Well, yeah, but
they're fun.
It's fun to think about and come up with all these ideas.
You know, the cool possibilities. That's always fun to think about.
Yeah,
but yeah, I definitely just like pondering it on my own, being like, how are they gonna get out of this situation? Really, with any sort of media. Any sort of story, and just like see what happens.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I like the show. So I think we can wrap up today's episode now, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, we got through most of the cool stuff. We talked about Lord of the Rings, the camper staffing at NYLT, Loki, my fabulous dinosaur fact.
So, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for watching or listening. New episode every Monday, and hope to see you again next week.
Yeah, so we're available on YouTube, as well as Anchor. So Anchor has like Apple...
Pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find it.
Except Apple Podcasts is kind of weird. We're
trying to figure it out. The episodes don't always upload exactly when they're supposed to. I'm not sure exactly how it works yet, but yeah,
we're figuring it out. Also, I have a separate YouTube channel called That Etan Guy. That's Etan spelled ETAN. On that, I do weird things. So far, I have 1 video, so can't really give a good description of it, but. Actually, I technically have 3, but the other 2 are from like way back
from years ago.
I just kept them because I felt like it. But like one recent video has to do with dinosaurs. I'll probably be posting a lot of dinosaur content on it, so feel free to check it out. I think it's really cool, but that's because it's me.
All right.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you guys next week.
See ya.